now everything is all blown up in the open, miscarriage and perimenopause, everything. Everybody is coming to the surface with their own experiences and stories. But I know what helps me to this day is knowing that my body was able to adapt, to change, to evolve, to be able to birth two healthy children later in life, I should say, late 30s, early 40s. And I know that it is possible for every other person if I can do it. That's really what I believe.
Hello, Dr. Carla Vidor, my colleague, acupuncturist, friend, embodiment of divine feminine wisdom.
Oh boy.
Are you ready to talk about that today?
I am. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm very peacefully excited to have this conversation because I don't know anybody better who can really hold what it means to sit in the divine feminine. And I feel like it's an important missing piece in the fertility puzzle for so many of our female patients. So both you and I have a fertility clinic and have for a very long time that's kind of central to or centered around women's health, right?
Correct.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you came into having a women's focused clinic and what it's called and what you all do in there. And then let's see if we can kind of merge them together to show how women support other women on the journey to the things that they want, because together we are very powerful.
That's such a great intro because I found this medicine through my own story, which was very much about letting go of rigidity and hardness and kind of striving and really trying to
hustle, crush it.
Yeah, and I was like a lot younger, obviously, but if I just reflect on my own fertility journey, I had to, like lessen the vice grip and soften. And I'm not saying that all I did was like let go and I was able to conceive, but there was a lot of maybe subconscious and also conscious change in habits, in thought processes, in even the people that I surrounded myself with. But it really was like a mental thing. So to go back to your question, I chose to specialize. Well, first I chose not to specialize in women's health because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't even like regulate my own body. How can I possibly help other people? And then how life kind of brings you things. So the first two patients I had out of the master's program were fertility, and I realized I knew nothing, but I also realized how much I like secretly wanted to help them and also figure out my own stuff.
And how they would, how we will do something for other people. So it would force you to learn, right?
100%. And I was like so scared to go there, but I wanted to, it was like that kind of push-pull thing.
So, figuring out the whole hypothalamus, pituitary, ovarian axis and the FSH and LH, and then merging in with the science of menopur and follistim and to be able to kind of move from that conversation and use the science part of our brain over into the acupuncture and Chinese medicine philosophy part of our brain and our training.
Yeah.
That's another subtle kind of dancey thing that we do. So I can understand why it was intimidating.
Oh, 100%. But, not even one level below that, Danica, like the basics, like what are the hormones doing throughout the menstrual cycle? Forget like the exogenous things in IVF. Like what do women's bodies, how are they so complicated and complex and so sensitive to everything? And how can one person be this way and one person be this way? And so I was super intimidated. But then I ended up going back to school
for the
doctorate. And then I just fell in love with it, and it absolutely changed my life. And I've been specializing ever since. So that's how I got into it.
So was it the set of teachers that you got in that early cohort or the class material? What do you think it was? Or it was probably like you saying yes to something that was within you and like giving into it?
I think it was a timing thing. I think I was finally ready to like go all in to something. On the periphery, I was also like ending a relationship. You know, I had moved back from Miami. It was like there was a lot of change happening. But I think I loved it so much because it was the first one, so it was small and new. You know, Ray Rubio was there.
Yeah.
And
Ray Rubio being somebody, I'm bringing him in for the listeners. Ray Rubio was an acupuncturist who standardized, or who held a vigil saying we need to standardize acupuncture and what the acupuncturists are doing if they're in reproductive medicine. So creating a board for us with an exam that kind of made sure that all of us had received or were using the same kind of jargon, and that we all knew to use certain formulas, and that we all could prove that we had gone through the same amount of studying or something, that we had been exposed to the books, and that we all agreed these are the books, this would be the thing, to try to standardize it for us and legitimize it for us.
right.
As we work with so many Western doctors, he played a very important role before he died in, was it like 2015?
And I think actually it was 2017. Yeah, he held the light, right?
Yeah,
he led the way in a
did.
way
Yep.
for this cohesiveness anyways. But I think one of the couple of big reasons why that program was so special is I met my now partner there, Jessica Chen.
Oh, your business partner.
My romantic partner, my bestie, who's also my business partner, and
Dr. Jessica Chen.
Dr. Jessica Chen. And I also I just learned so much. I don't know that it was like necessarily the teachers. I also ended up mentoring with Denise Wiesner, who kind of like, I mean, I got to see so many patients and just really understand how we're all the same. We're all the same.
Yeah,
underneath.
we're actually not that complicated.
Yes, that
we're
is
actually
true, Danica.
very predictable.
Yeah, that's true. I had that realization working with her. So it was just like, I just felt like I was in the right place. Finally.
Yeah. And, you know, similarly to you connecting with Jessica Chen there in that cohort, when I had Well Women Acupuncture and my own infertility surfaced, I brought in Anna Werderich, and she and I worked together on my fertility, and we had that sounding board to discuss, hey, I think FSH means this when it's elevated. And I think that kidney yang can support progesterone in that way. So the conversation, like you were probably doing with Jessica, having like the lunch break or whatever, and studying together and working on things, and then just like musing, right? As this medicine is kind of a divine feminine counterpart to allopathic Western reproductive science IVF technology, right? They make the protocols, they do the procedures, and it's kind of has up until recently been so male dominated. Where over here, the majority of acupuncturists are women. We're giving them back female power, some subtlety of herbal formulas, right? We're the ones that teach the patients to be patient, right? All of that is the divine feminine complement to science, right? So you and Jessica had that sounding board sort of thing, I'm imagining and assuming, but I think in having that, it probably brought a lot of the comfort. And then those discussions, the rounds that we do in that doctorate program, and the learning. So I'm back so there with learning. You.
Yeah, no, it was great. And to be fair, we did have lots of dialogue on TCM. We also had a lot of fun. I think that's what I needed at that time, you know, just like laughing and being silly. But
yeah, because it was the first cohort. So you guys didn't have anything to compare it to.
Right. Yeah.
Just going into the unknown, which I'm going to say is, again, feminine. Okay, so you start realizing, I'm more confident than I realized. I can practice women's health, acupuncture, and fertility. So tell me how that came through.
Well, I would say that confidence, it still comes to me every day, and I don't feel confident every day. Like, let's be real. Okay, but every day I literally love what I do. And I don't know if that love, I don't think it's just from like, oh, patients are getting pregnant and they're having good retrievals or whatever it is, they're, menstrual cycles are regulated. I think it's more like that connection. And I'm going to tie this into that bigger thing that we're talking about here. That connection where we can just soften in the presence of somebody else and feel safe and feel heard and really trust our bodies. Because, and I'm going to put my own perspective here, I was taught to not trust my body for many years. And I feel like that's why that was a big cutoff to my own femininity and my own fertility.
Mm-hmm. That happens to so many of us. But who told you?
Information comes from so many sources. And I don't mean like information like textbooks, but just interactions.
Friends, it's like talking about being on their period or something, or in high school.
I don't think it was that so much. I think the more that I gained experience clinically, it was like easier to go a little deeper and like uncover some of the layers. And as you know, when you're working with someone, you have to build that trust. But once you get underneath there, it's like an ocean. And you just, even if the knowing is like lost in that ocean, it's still there. Mm-hmm. I know I'm speaking a little, that doesn't, not too linearly, but
metaphors really help in this conversation. Remember, the seed program is all about becoming a gardener who has faith in her ability to plant seeds that will sprout by first tilling weeds from the garden.
I love your seed program, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm going to grab brochures.
But I'm just saying, metaphors help. And so to use the ocean and a deep dive makes sense to me. And it makes me feel like, oh, I might just sit back further in my chair.
Oh, me too.
Because it's like, yes, once we feel safe, if we think, okay, I'm in an area where there are no sharks and the water temperature is warm, then why not just keep on being in the water? And this kind of medicine in this particular field at this time for humans unfolding, where the noise is so loud on how hard it is to conceive, it really is important that we bring another conversation that's like, well, as you deep dive into yourself and you look at messaging up to this point that's told you to feel disempowered, and then you challenge it on an internal level to be more empowered feminine who understands how her body functions through the cycle, or knowing how to talk to an MD when you're in those appointments so that you can make the most of those appointments and each cycle attempt, that's feminine power and how it shows up too. And all of that's using the intuition. So it's like being in the ocean and continuing to do a deep dive inward.
I mean, I use that phrase a lot, like find your knowing, because we always know. We always know on some level, even if it's just like hiding or deep in there somewhere and buried under all the junk. I mean, we know. And I love that. I mean, you made me think of two patients that I've seen recently who just are bombarded, not even just through social media, but this person had a miscarriage, this person had a loss, and they come in and they're so petrified to even try to start trying that nothing is wrong with their bodies necessarily. There's no interference, at least as far as we know, but they are ridden with anxiety and fear that this is also going to be their story too.
Are they in their early 30s?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that social media or I don't know.
Well, maybe. But it's like the younger millennials.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that have been exposed the most and the longest to knowing older generational friends of theirs that struggled. And the messaging of how hard and how prevalent.
I remember being 30. I don't remember experiencing those feelings. I mean, I knew I had my own issues, but I don't remember like having that
Yeah, it's different.
It is,
now.
right? Yeah.
I feel bad for the 30-year-olds because when I was 31, I had this job, helping other people conceive. And that's how I was exposed to it. But it was one of the patients who told me to go check my labs. And I knew I always had terrible menstrual periods. So I, to your point, knew there was an issue. And as a result of kind of knowing that and this pivotal patient to tell me to go test, then I found out about it. If I was otherwise 31 back in 2001, I would not have been looking around at my fertility.
Right.
So, but nowadays it's so loud and present and everybody kind of knows about it, which is a good thing because we want girls to know, how to take care of their fertility and maybe to freeze eggs. There's all these things that are positive around awareness, but it's a slippery slope.
Right.
And it can really freak us out to know that our fertility is threatened a little bit.
Yeah.
So divine feminine is, I think that's the reason I want to talk to you, is like, how do we use divine feminine to get beyond or ahead of the fear and to sink into, it is safe to deep dive in the ocean of what am I about? What's this process about for me? And what do I really believe about my infertile diagnosis and situation?
Beautiful image, because to me, it's that trust muscle. Right. Instead of leading with fear and anxiety, you just like what you just did. Like I often tell my patients, drop your shoulders, like embody sort of that archetype, that heavy
earth mama.
Yes. Or whatever it is. I mean, maybe it's not, maybe the divine feminine doesn't conjure up ideas of that. Or maybe it's like, angelic. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
For me, it was a mermaid. That's why when you said the ocean, then it was resonant for me. I had mermaids all over the office, all over my house. I was using them as a symbol of feminine power.
Oh, I love that.
It still works.
Yeah. Well, for me, I like hold rocks as
crystals.
Yes,
earth.
Crystals, rocks, just anything that I guess connects me to the earth, but then it reminds me of that bigger thing, and that's for me right now as a 47-year-old female. I am continuously trying to remember that there is something bigger out there, right? And I think that is like the natural transition. We get very like eagle-eyed in the beginning, like eye on the prize, and then it just it inverts.
Yeah, it expands from there when you realize, wait a minute, I'm a piece of something so much bigger. And then you can understand that it serves a purpose for you to mother one or more children, that you're going to pass on the wisdom that you learned how to navigate scary experiences to your little ones and to your patients.
I know, to the best of my ability. I don't know do so well at that. But besides that kind of like sinking in and literally sinking in, being in the now, right, is super important to just getting out of the race. I mean, I don't always talk about this, like the yin and yang thing, explain that to women or to the people that I'm working with. And that if you are going to move at light speed, you're going to miss a lot. And so just the slowing down, the being in the moment, everything slowing down, like everything, just even the mind, which is so hard to do. But I think, it gets easier once it gets easier when you get older because the energy isn't there. But to be proactive and to take care of, like you said, to preserve the fertility, even starting in the 30s, it's a little different. You can get away with more when you're younger, clearly, with the maybe
Starbucks.
Yeah, skipping meals, going to bed late, but it's all of those things that they will catch up with you eventually if one continues. So I think it just depends on the person in front of you and where they are in that moment. But for sure bringing them back to the moment and just having them go inside to find what they know, because they always do, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And when you said when women are in the face of Western medical doctors, fertility doctors, and they're being told, okay, you're getting this protocol, this is what we're doing, okay, that's how many eggs you have, and it's like just a ton of information. How can a body receive that without a lot of like walls going up and alarm bells going up? Even if it's good news, once you've entered the system, it's still like
data points, short-circuiting, changing your electrical frequency that you have in your body,
100%.
Causing palpitations, sending you out into the future, getting you out of the present moment, getting you into your headspace of, well, it's only 9 eggs.
Right. And Google says.
Yeah, right. Google.
I mean, I'm not making fun. I mean, I would literally do the same thing.
Agreed, especially because it's here now.
Yeah.
It's so important that we know how to receive that information and then tell ourselves how we're going to process it. Because this is how old I am. When I had my elevated FSH reading, the World Wide Web was just getting started. So there was the beginning stages of putting together websites. As the patient who told me to check my FSH, she let me know that there was like a former website called highfsh.com.
Oh, God.
And when she said it to me, I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I got in the car and drove myself over to the UCLA library and started poring over research journals, which were just kind of becoming more digitally, besides the card catalog.
Oh, God, I do remember.
Right? So it's funny, but this is as us being older and speaking about the millennials all the way up to women that are, I have a 46-year-old patient trying. And so, we're still able to bring wisdom in from the experiences that we've had, right? So one of the things I found in the journal that I was directed to from card catalog was that even in the 1800s, there was something that they were calling oophoritis, meaning like inflammation in the ovaries, and that it was triggered by
Isn't that still a diagnosis?
Yes,
Okay.
oophoritis, but for it to be in journals of like late 1800s, like 1890,
Right.
and they're mentioning that it's related to adrenal glands and an upregulation of the nervous system and the adrenals, and the prescription in this journal was a prescription of diet and quiet. So they took the people.
I was going to say rest, right?
Yeah,
That's
but
wow.
but putting them into rooms without sunshine, and just like giving them lamb, healthy fats from, organ meats, animal products, and quietude. Well, could we be any opposite from that nowadays, where we are plant-based or thinking about it, and then we're constantly shining a light in our face with our devices, and it's so energetically loud, right? It's so loud, all the inputs. So we're far away from using diet and quiet to reset our nervous system and our ovarian health.
That is a really cool study.
Yeah. Well, it was like a journal entry. I could never find it right now if my life depended on it, but it was one of those things that sunk in and stamped my brain and made me realize, okay, my former office, Well Women Acupuncture, it had no windows. It had ruby red carpet, and it was like a little womb. And so the patients, it was a suite in an office building down at the end of the hall. So they would come, they'd park on the street, and they'd start shutting off some of the buzz of, Los Angeles. And then they'd get into the rooms, or they'd walk into the office, and they'd hear that binaural beats, trance music streaming. And then they'd get their bladder emptied, and then another level of relaxation would happen. And then talking, so oxytocin bonding, and then get the endorphins flowing with the acupuncture. So that was their diet and quiet.
Yeah, it's like the path to peace was what you just described, because there's no break in the days.
Yeah.
You know?
Not anymore.
Even like when I'm in the room with somebody, I mean, you probably have this too. Like I also
relax.
Yeah. That's why I love going to work.
Sure. Because we get to be in it with them and set up for relaxation, and we're experiencing it with them.
And that interaction, I mean, talking about the divine feminine, I mean, that's where I feel like I'm most tapped into it, actually, because it is so vast. And there's nothing else that really exists in that moment when you're with a patient. Yeah, you go, you know, if you're going over, like you say, data points or something like that. But still, there's others, that underneath layer.
Which is kind of like the spirit of a mother, because you're being there for that other person. It's nurturing, right? And that is what we're teaching them. It's another way of showing them, hey, look how relaxed I am because we're doing this together. And then they can start thinking about how they are doing that for their coworkers or friends and family. And when I see my patients doing that, then I'm quick to mirror, reflect it back to them to say, do you know that as you're nurturing your plants and pets and friends, you are cultivating the spirit of a mother in yourself? Because we're really looking for ways to help them tilt the scale to think it can happen, right? It is happening. I'm getting closer.
Put in the realm of possibility, because for some people it's way out there in the distance, or
not going to happen for me. Right. And so for them to entertain even for a few seconds, oh, right, I guess I am mothering my friends at work, because they all do come to me for advice, right? That's the mother.
Yeah.
So it's important. So, you know, it's interesting. When I did the doctoral program and was working on writing my thesis, yours from 8 or 9 years prior was the one that I printed out. It was like, I don't know, 70 or 80 pages. And I printed it, and I remember thinking, this is an excellent thesis. And it was a lit review of what you did. But I really want to talk to you about it, because I think that it's important to what we're talking about. It's the science of the divine feminine and getting quiet, and how important it is. So, so the title was...
So I'm not going to remember the exact title, but it was on recurrent pregnancy loss. And I was really fascinated by how a body could reject a fetus if there was nothing wrong with the fetus per se, and why it would happen over and over again. So the title was something about psychoneuroimmunology and how it relates to recurrent pregnancy loss, basically why the body attacks an embryo. And what I learned, if I can remember, I mean, I do remember, but specifics probably not, was was the effects of stress on hormonal function and all of the many cascades of interactions that happen during implantation and early pregnancy, its effect on that by increasing certain inflammatory markers, decreasing other ones, because you need inflammation, right? You need inflammation for
ovulation,
everything. I mean, well, in balance, right? And what I did learn is that, especially if we're just going to talk about IVF, you know, because implantation is somewhat inflammatory and acupuncture is somewhat anti-inflammatory, or it's modulating inflammation, you know, that it can be helpful to kind of not completely suppress inflammation, but just modulate it. And then also herbally, there's certain herbs that I use often. I mean, I use Tusitsa a lot now because of that paper. Because
Tusitsa being cuscuta.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't remember. Okay. Yeah, the cuscuta seeds,
which is a kidney tonic, and it's a kidney chi tonic, isn't it?
I think I think it's everything. It's like yin and yang, which is why it's appropriate for everybody. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like, if I don't have to think, okay, you take Tusitsa.
All through the cycle, or just in the luteal phase or during pregnancy?
It depends. I don't always give herbs in pregnancy. I will keep them on a formula if they've been on one. and I feel like they
their
need
body already kind of can process it.
Yeah,
It's
or
nothing
if they've had
shocking.
a loss.
Losses.
Actually, so what this did was plant the seed and keep the seed that herbs can be very helpful with recurrent pregnancy loss. So if I have a patient with one miscarriage, 2 miscarriages, yeah, I'll probably put them on a formula. I mean, there are always exceptions, but
yeah, and both the patient plus their RE is more agreeable to utilizing herbs when there's been a few losses.
yes,
Whereas
true.
before, if it's their first IVF and then we're like, let's use some herbs, that doesn't go over very well, because why put herbs in when the everything has been so scientifically measured and tested, and the herbs do change the uterine environment and the hormone milieu. It changes it. So we have to be very careful, and it's nuanced, and we need to know when or if to give them. But when they've had already a couple of losses, then everybody's sort of in agreement, well, it can't hurt, or why not?
Yeah.
Right? What's the worst thing that could happen if we put in herbs?
Exactly. And I, like, to your point, I like to do the minimum amount just to see what the body can do on its own, irrespective of if they're doing IVF or not. But yes, in that case, like even I had a miscarriage before my first pregnancy, and I took herbs.
You were already taking them?
I wasn't. I wasn't. Well, I mean, this is a longer story, but another day.
Or maybe in a few minutes.
Can I have 2 minutes?
For sure.
Okay, so when I was in the doctorate program, Jessica, my now business partner, and also our friend Liz, we actually started a postpartum food delivery service that was herbal soups. So it was like very fatty, rich soups, and then with herbs. So like as a recovery program, and we were doing it all. We were doing the shopping and the cooking and the cleaning. So it wasn't like the best business model, but what happened during that time in the doctor program is we had to like taste all this stuff, and I was drinking like a ton of tonic soups, and it was like fat and herbs and blood tonics and that's how I got pregnant the first time. I swear to God, that's how it happened. That one didn't stay. But then I conceived shortly after that.
Do you think that all of the outthrusting of doing all these things plus being in the doctoral program, or do you think it was chromosomally non-viable, or do you know what happened? Because the story was kind of, I thought you were setting me up for, and I was doing all these testing, and then that one was the one that made it. So what do you think happened?
So I love that question, because as painful and devastating as the loss was, I was also celebrating that my body could do it and that it worked, because for so many years I didn't think it did. And I believe that it was like the pregnancy was like an usher. You can do this. You got this. It's not for me this time, but you know, I'm going to open the door for you. It was like that kind of thing, and I had a lot of peace with that.
Wow, which is so different. And explains exactly why I wanted you for this Divine Feminine episode, right? But that's so different than the typical response to, I've just had a loss, right? Not many people are going to think like, I just had this loss, and so now I know I can do it. It's more like, I did this, and so, and it went away. It went away. I must be broken. There must be something wrong with my eggs.
Or it's going to keep happening, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I was very anxious when I conceived with my now daughter, but I really was in awe, because my body could not get pregnant for, a decade before that. You know, I mean, everything is a story. Everything depends on timing and all that, but. That's the herbs. Wait, where was I? Oh, yeah.
So did you change your, as a result of having the loss, and you had been having those soups and everything, what happened then after that?
So then I don't remember exactly, but I conceived pretty quickly after that. Like I think a couple of months after. And once I got the positive, then I started taking all the calm the fetus herbs, is what they call in Chinese medicine, like Wang Qi, Baizhu. I don't know, Shudi, Shuduan, all the Duzhong, like all of the ones. I just literally was like, take them all.
So you brought in more support.
Yes.
It makes me wonder, when you were selling the soups and you got pregnant, did you stop eating the soups? And was it a really early loss? Like it was chemical?
It wasn't chemical. It was, I had the heartbeat at 7 weeks. And then when I went back for follow-up, it hadn't grown.
Wow.
So it happened somewhere in there.
But did you stop the soups?
I wasn't taking them regularly. We were just in like R&D. So I was sampling them a lot. Okay. So it wasn't like I was like consuming them daily or consciously being like, I need these. It was more just like kind of haphazardly. But we were trying a lot of stuff.
Okay. So I want to go back to your study if you're okay with that.
Of course.
So the psychoneuroimmunology with bend on herbs.
Also a little acupuncture too, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all of that stuff within the literature that you reviewed showed what changes the stress response. What is it that's affecting the neuroimmunology? Because we've got a lot of listeners that probably have either undiagnosed autoimmune, or they hadn't even thought about this idea of autoimmune. But what do you think? And what did the research show in your lit review of how to fix this problem?
Well, I don't know that I would use the word fix, because I think that's a big word.
Yeah.
But in terms of how to manage inflammation as a result of, I'll just say, chronic stress, it goes back to the foundations always. And yes, my paper was not on diet and rest and food. It was how acupuncture and herbs can affect this system. But that is the foundation, as always, right? Diet, lifestyle, the earth for everything else that we can build from. I mean, and I'm preaching in the choir. But what the paper showed was that, or the research showed, was that certain herbs can modulate immune function. And then also the acupuncture,
well, we call it mutually regulating. So
that's a good word.
It's such a great term, right? So if the immune system is upregulated, it'll kind of tone it down. And if the immune response isn't hyped up enough to be able to stop, we don't want to have too much of a hyper reactivity response and attack the fetus.
Yes, exactly. Right. That was the curiosity that sparked this. And it was less in like an autoimmune situation and more like in a alloimmune, like
self-regulating.
Yes.
So did you choose your topic after having that miscarriage?
No, I hadn't had it yet.
Oh my gosh. How curious.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, I was newly in the world of fertility, but I didn't understand it. I was like, well, why would a body do that?
So when you explore where you were psychologically, and we don't know if it was a non-viable, it might have just been chromosomal DNA, right? Mm-hmm. A bad luck scenario. Yeah. But I'm sure that it made you think, okay, I want to support more when I go forward, and I want to be using the things that I know, and I'm going to use my toolbox.
Oh, 100%. And also the story too, right? Because I mean, now everything is all blown up in the open, miscarriage and perimenopause, everything, everybody is coming to the surface with their own experiences and stories. But I know what helps me to this day is knowing that my body was able to adapt, to change, to evolve, to be able to birth two healthy children later in life, I should say, late 30s, early 40s. And I know that it is possible for every other person if I can do it. That's really what I believe.
So I'm wondering, before we started filming, I was saying, hey, I've seen more of this phenomena or that phenomena since we've been in the pandemic. And the top of the list are these pregnancy losses. Mm-hmm. And you said you weren't seeing that so much. And I'm wondering if it's because your thesis, your research, your deep dive into scientific data and research journals and everything was, and your own personal experience. It's talking about how we can modulate, we can self-regulate. And so when your clients are with you, they feel that and it's already happening for them, or you're giving them two sits and and astragalus, like, so like maybe you're like the pregnancy loss whisperer type here in our field, in that it's not really happening like that because you've kind of like transmuted it, sort of. I know that sounds so crazy, but like my thing, the work that I've done is helping women make more eggs, better eggs, and more normal embryos. Mm-hmm. I know how to do that with diet and quiet, things that I say, them shifting their thinking. And so, you know, like you might not be seeing very many losses as a result of kind of helping them to feel that extra layer of support and divine feminine.
I never thought of that.
It just came to me. That was not in the show outline that I had got in my mind of what I wanted to ask you, but I think it's something that really makes a lot of sense. Because we're all cultivating our gifts. Even the patients, they're cultivating more fertile confidence. They're cultivating more of a belief in themselves. And they do hang on our words as we're last resort physicians on the team. Mm-hmm. If we say something and it's woo-woo or sticky something and it sticks for them, but it gives them more of a hope or more of a trust in their body and in life, and then it's effective.
Yeah, I mean, often I will have people say, "You said that," and I'm like, "What did I say?" And but it's that sticky thing that like, and like I have mentors that have said stuff to me, and I always will remember that. It sometimes just takes one interaction, right? And then it's like there's that small shift, there's that small turn of the wheel in that direction.
We definitely provide something for this audience and for the patients that are going through this. What is your favorite thing to work on with your patients? Or what do you think you attract to you the most often?
I mean, I keep referencing like this underlayer thing, like the less about this certain type of patient, old, young, high FSH, low MH, whatever it is. I think it's more, my favorite thing to do is to go under the layer and like what's encourage this like bigger connection that we have.
So would you say that you're helping them to figure out what's at the root of pattern of something, or?
Possibly, but also, and I mean, maybe this is just because of where I am in my life right now, like forgetting who you are for a moment.
Is a good thing?
Is a good thing, yes, because we live up here.
99%
of the time.
Up in your head?
Yes. I'm sorry, not up there, up here.
And comparing.
Oh, everything.
And comparing to where you should be based on your thoughts.
Yeah, well, it's like the magic doesn't happen up there. Is more, I think, what I'm saying. My favorite type of person to work with is someone, I guess, who I can go there with, because somebody maybe who, even if it's just cracked just a little bit, like an openness to get out of the rapidly spinning wheel of numbers and stories and history and future stuff and predictions and all this, and just like, I want to say, go into the ocean. I don't mean to sound cheesy. I don't know how else to like word it, but when the room just kind of like settles down, and I think that's my favorite.
Yeah, I call it spiritual transformation.
I mean, I do like that level of work.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like what gets us up in the mornings to do this work, because let's be honest, a lot of the times it doesn't work. And we have to get back on the hamster wheel. We have to get back into, okay, let's try herbs this way this time. Okay, let's try shifting in this way this time. So what is it that drives us as the holistic people on the team? Must be something more than just the success stories and the statistics. It's the patient spiritual transformation, watching them get stronger, watching them become more confident. You're saying watching them feel comfortable with their deep diving into themselves, going inward and trusting instead of panicking that they're going to run out of time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, I'm gonna botch this saying, but it was something that I loved, and I actually learned it at Denise Wiesner's. It was like, be the valley and all things come to you, as opposed to the mountain. Do you know that saying? And that is another thing that, like, if you just, stop the forcing and doing and going and you just be the valley and all the water flows to you. It was some imagery like that.
It's working. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, one is striving and the other is allowing.
Mm-hmm. And receiving, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it just happens. The gravity will pull the water downward. It's a beautiful metaphor image.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah. So in the context of the divine feminine, it is about allowing. It is about quietude. It's about action through non-action, right? And
which doesn't mean passivity. It just means,
it means not forcing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think there's so many interpretations, but I like just really quickly going back to your point about when a woman or a couple is in front of a doctor and they're just being sort of told what's going to happen to their bodies, that's maybe not the best place to just be like, I mean, yes, there's some degree of receiving and just taking it in, but like, I also suggest advocacy in a big, major way. Mm-hmm. Anyways, I just had to throw that out there.
The clarification, it's good. It's like knowing, if you have enough quietude in yourself, then you know when to say, hey, wait a second, I don't want to do the same protocol again. That's not working for me. Or, hey, wait a second, maybe I need to go to a different clinic.
Mm-hmm. Even if you've been, you've paid all this money and you've trusted this person.
Embryos frozen there, then why would you ever think to leave?
Well, or you don't want to hurt their feelings.
Yeah, as if they are paying attention or going to take it personally. They don't. They shouldn't. Yeah. It's like, at the end of the day, I think they want you to get your dream fulfilled and get your kids. But there are benefits to getting another set of eyes, so that to look at your case, which is sort of like what you're saying, like, don't be so passive and think that that's you being the divine feminine, not changing anything up. If you have an inner inkling that says, I think something has to shift.
Exactly.
Right. Listening to the self, getting quiet enough to be able to hear the messages from your higher self, or the whisperings of a baby spirit, or something that's a message from the universal field.
Which is, everyone thinks meditation, or, but there's so many ways to do it. And it's just, it's really what works for you.
And not thinking that it's too hard, but to try, right? Just sitting quietly. Yeah. Just for like a minute.
Anything that will just like put the toe in the door and leave it there for a little bit. It could be it could just be, like stopping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've seen some of my patients do amazing things when they give themselves permission to jump off of the hamster wheel or try something different.
And sometimes, people don't even know they're on the hamster wheel. That's the other thing. But then once they realize, that's that thing, okay, I'm on this, now I can let it go. And you do that, like,
they create their own pattern interrupt of their hamster wheeling of procedures and protocols and attempts and failures.
Yeah.
And then they say, well, you know what? Maybe if I just don't have it, if this never works for me, maybe I would let myself be enough, or maybe I will go with a donor egg or something, and that pattern interrupt to give themselves permission to have it look differently than what they always thought that it would.
Oh, that's a hard one, but a good one.
Exactly.
Right? Because that's a hard cycle to break. But I think that's where we can really
because in their brain they feel like that's the ultimate failure, that they have abandoned themselves, when in truth it's a matter of like, wait a minute, I got to give myself permission and grace to stop like beating this one way.
There is not one way.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I love talking to you. You know that.
I love talking to you. Thank you so much, Danica.
For the listeners out there, what would you want to leave as like parting words of wisdom in your couple decades experience, your work with women's health, your personal journey?
Let go of the story and just open to possibility. And I'm saying that, I say that from a deeply personal place.
When we stop trying to control it.
Yes.
We stop trying to control how we think it should be.
Yes. Or just like, yes, of course that. And just the story, you know, letting go of it.
The story of, I thought it should happen this way.
The story of whatever is the self-imposed story, the story of that person, the story of that person, the story of that person.
Yeah. Really hard. Thinking of
very, very hard.
Yeah. I'm thinking of a friend who is gone through something recently, and in her profession, and she's trying to conceive, and she keeps bringing up what happened in the profession, and time is really ticking away with her fertility journey. And I see her every few weeks, and it's still coming up on this slight, this injustice, and how this thing happened professionally. And I just, like, I can't make her stop thinking it. So sometimes I try like chit-chatting about it, or I try some grief recovery reconciliation tool to like help her to be letting it go. And then I'll feel like, okay, we did it. She let it go. And then 2 weeks later, I'll see her again and bring it up again. So I think it's kind of like a breakup or something. We're going to sit in it, in that pain, until we're ready to move on from the pain.
Right.
And the acceptance of, I got kind of stuck.
Yeah. And like, I love that example, because I feel like at some point everybody has been in that, you know, like an altercation at work or something yucky.
Yeah.
And then it's just, you know, you just got to go through it. You got to go through it until it leaves your body.
Yeah.
Even if it takes a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's part of our maturation process. Probably we learn something from sitting in discomfort. And then hopefully we learn how to sit there a little less, or to let it have a slightly less tight grip on us when something happens that we don't like, or we weren't planning, and that we feel is going to really, you know, ruin us or whatever.
Yeah. And then you literally forget about it like it never happened. And
yeah. Well, my friend with the professional thing, it's leading her somewhere else. And that beauty that comes from accepting the challenge, that when my mom was dying in 2009, my astrologer said something in 2 words that helped me, because my mom, she got stuck. And here I was, this like healer personality, and I couldn't heal her with any herbs. So she couldn't get better, and she couldn't transition, though she felt ready. She just got stuck in limbo and was in hospice for like a year's time. And so I didn't know, like, I felt like a fertility patient. Like, how do I pick up my life and start moving it forward when I need to be my mom's primary caregiver? And so it was like, she won't take my herbs, and she's not finished living yet. So my astrologer said, Danica, I know you're a spiritual warrior and all of that, and you are here to do deep diving and stuff, but you need to accept defeat.
Accept defeat.
From the spiritual warrior standpoint, like, let her checkmate you. She won, let it be, and then you go do another game, do something else. Accept defeat. She's got you beat. So it's sort of like that in fertility. As I have a patient, she's 46, and just the way that things unfolded in her life path, it was like she couldn't really do her fertility until like age 45 and 46. And we've been cracking her open to the idea of using donor egg because she really is just wanting to mother a child. But the process of accepting defeat is like, that's going to allow her to move there and to know her baby much sooner than if she's like, well, it's 46 and 8 months year old eggs. Let me try one more time. No, just accept that wasn't the plan for this lifetime, but to have the experience of mothering means accepting that it's not going to go in the way that you always envisioned. And then you start attracting the right donor egg profile or whatever it is,
I love that that's such a strong 2 words, accept defeat. I mean, there's nothing wishy-washy or spiritual per se about that.
Yeah.
You close that door and then you open that one
to
the donor.
Open the next
donor
one.
That's going to be your baby.
So in you liking those 2 words helps me feel inspired that maybe listeners will take those 2 words and that this episode can be pivotal.
Yeah, strong words. I mean, I can apply that to my own life right now, and I'm not trying to have a baby,
Acceptance is key. Strong words within an episode about the softened divine feminine.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good way to end, right?
Yeah. Well, I imagine that in the masculine, if a battle is over, then it's done.
I know I'm doing this, the ultimate yin, right?
Yeah, right. The leveling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it does kind of call it. It's done. On the checkmate, you don't get any more checked or completed or finished. So in saying accept defeat means like really reconcile that you've done everything you could do.
Yeah, and it does this.
It lands it.
It lands it. Yeah.
Yes. Check us out, bringing this stuff up from the depths. We did our deep dive in the conversation. We found these empowering words, and then hopefully there are listeners that will let it land in them because, I mean, really our imperative is to help, but we are very clever in how we do it.
Right.
Carla, thank you so much. I want the listeners to be able to find you. How would they do that?
So we are on Instagram.
Your account handle?
Yeah, it's Ren and Tonic.
Ren and Tonic.
So REN and then the ampersand tonic. And then we have a website.
Okay, called?
renandtonic.com.
Perfect.
Yeah, pretty easy.
So the Ren channel, right? Tell us why Ren and Tonic.
So when Jessica and I came together, we were 2 separate practices, and we're like, okay, we have to have a name that's cool, it's catchy, but like, see, we go kind of through many iterations. We were going to go like very traditional, and Jessica is from Taiwan, and the word Ren is actually a Confucian term, which means humanness, connectedness. Okay, so you know this. And then, but because of my work in fertility, I think of Ren Vessel,
channel,
which is, all about the divine feminine, right?
And holding a pregnancy.
Yes. Well, divine feminine in relation to the dew, I guess. But yes. And nourishment and receptivity. And
and it's on the front, softer side of the body, the belly, all the feminine body parts are there.
Yes,
and it's like
and the heart. And the brain.
Okay, so that's the Ren.
So that's the Ren, and we were playing around with that, and then as like, to be a little silly, we went Ren and Tonic, like gin and tonic, but because we do the tonic is the herbal piece. So we do not just tonic herbs, but individualized herbs.
Yeah, you're also doing microneedling and other things that women like to do.
Yeah, we have microneedling, we have body work, we have amazing, she's like so good with cupping and gua sha, Liz Kotek, and then Caroline Kirk is our other associate. Yeah, so it's an acupuncture practice, acupuncture and herbs, but we do offer like a couple additional services, microneedling and body work.
Microneedling is like cosmetic.
I am currently doing it, and so I'm very excited. But yeah, it doesn't hurt. I don't think it hurts, but it's it's like I don't know that I can explain it for us. It's just little micro traumas to the skin so that
collagen comes out. Love it.
It's stimulating the body's own healing defenses, like acupuncture.
The women love it, and
yes, they do.
They are coming out of these rooms with
the glow.
Yeah.
I think it works.
For sure it does.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of like keeping it up, right?
Of course. And then the internal stuff too.
Exactly. What happens in the rooms to the women through the conversations.
That's right. That's right.
So pivotal. All right, my friend. Well, thank you again
Thank
for
you, Danica.
sharing and for being who you are in this community and bringing so much peace.
I'm so happy to connect with you.
Likewise.
I really am.
Likewise.
Thank you.